Namaste and good morning, India. Welcome to The Explainer. In a world just overflowing with updates, alerts, and, let's be honest, a lot of noise, our mission is simple: to bring you the essential facts. We're here to give you the clarity you need to really understand the forces shaping our world. Because that's our core belief right there. We're all about fostering thinkers, not followers. We lay out the information, we connect the dots, we explore the why behind the what. But the conclusions? Well, those are always yours to make. So here's our roadmap for today. We're kicking things off with national governance and security. Then we'll take a look at the nation's economic pulse. After that, we dive into some amazing stories of society, culture, and progress, before shifting our focus to the global diplomatic front. And we'll wrap it all up with our straightforward, no-nonsense daily health brief. Let's get started. All right, first up, national governance and security. These are the stories that get to the heart of our democracy. The balance of power, the accountability of our leaders, and of course, the strategies we use to keep the nation safe. And we start with a really fundamental question of power, one that's now headed to the Supreme Court. Think about it. When a state legislature, which is elected by the people, passes a bill, how long can the governor just wait? Can they just sit on it forever, essentially killing a law not with a veto but with silence? You see, this whole thing really pulls back the curtain on a key tension in our federal system. On one hand, you've got the state legislature, which directly represents the will of that state's voters. But on the other hand, you've got the governor, who is appointed by the central government. And this friction has gotten especially noticeable in states where the ruling party is different from the one at the center. So now the Supreme Court is stepping in. On August 19th, it's going to hear what's called a presidential reference, which is a big deal. The court's answer on whether it can set a deadline for a governor to act, well, that could fundamentally change the power dynamics between the states and the center for years to come. Sticking with national security, things got incredibly heated on the floor of Parliament over the Polygum attack from back on April 22nd. The opposition came out swinging, pointing to what they called serious security lapses and even demanding Home Minister Amit Shah's resignation. It was a direct challenge to the government's entire security strategy. But the Prime Minister came back with a very different narrative, one of strength. He told Parliament that during India's retaliation, which was codenamed Operation Sindoor, Pakistan had actually pleaded for a ceasefire. And he made it a point to deny any suggestion that India was pressured by anyone to stop its operations, framing it as an act of a completely sovereign nation. Okay, let's pivot now and check the nation's economic pulse. This is where we follow the money, the big ideas, and the trade deals that shape our jobs, our industries, and our collective financial future. So, have you ever looked at the stock price for one of those huge top-tier companies and thought, well, that's not for me? That feeling of being priced out of the market, that might be about to change. SEBI, our market regulator, has just given the thumbs up to start testing out fractional share trading. It's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of having to buy one whole expensive share, you can buy just a small piece of it. It's like buying one tile in a palace instead of the whole building. This is a really big step towards making investing more democratic, potentially opening the doors for millions of smaller investors to own a piece of India's biggest success stories. Now, look at this number: 28,148 crore rupees. Just take a second to process that. This isn't the budget for a new highway. It's not a government scheme. This is the amount of market value that evaporated from one of India's biggest and most respected IT companies. And it happened in just 2 days. A number this massive just begs the question, what on earth happened? And here's the answer. The trigger was a single announcement from Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, about cutting 12,000 jobs. And the market's reaction was immediate, and it was fierce. For investors, this wasn't just seen as a simple cost-saving measure. It was a huge red flag. It suggested that maybe there was trouble on the horizon. A slowdown in business, maybe weakening demand. It's just a powerful reminder that in the market, a company's value isn't just about its profits. It's also about its people and the confidence investors have in its future. And that feeling of economic uncertainty, it's playing out on the global stage too. The clock is ticking on a really important trade deal between India and the US. President Trump hinted that he might support slapping 20 to 25% tariffs on Indian goods. Now, with an August 1st deadline staring everyone in the face, Indian exporters are feeling pretty anxious. It really highlights the delicate tightrope India is walking, trying to be a stable global partner while also dealing with the unpredictable nature of international politics. All right, let's shift gears. Now we're looking at society, culture, and progress. These are the stories that go beyond politics and finance to tell us about who we are, our heritage, our incredible achievements, and the quiet but powerful currents of social change. And we start with a really practical and important step forward in Delhi. A new policy is opening up more jobs for women by tackling a major hurdle: safety during night shifts. Now, companies in sectors like IT and hospitality can employ women around the clock. But, and this is the crucial part, it comes with strict rules. Employers must provide safe, company-paid transport right to their doorstep, and the workplaces themselves have to have CCTV cameras. This is a great example of how you can drive progress while ensuring protection, making sure economic empowerment and personal safety go hand in hand. We now take a moment to remember the passing of a true intellectual giant. This is how Lord Meghnad Desai is being remembered, as a prominent intellectual and luminary in economics. The Indian-born British economist passed away at the age of 85, and he leaves behind an absolutely incredible legacy. His impact was just immense. He wasn't just an economist in an ivory tower. He was a public thinker who took on the biggest ideas of our time. He made huge contributions to development economics, sure, but he was also a world-renowned expert on Marxian economics and a sharp commentator on globalization. He had this unique ability to analyze anything, from Indian politics to global affairs. And as a member of the British House of Lords, he had a platform to bring that unique, Indian-born perspective right into the halls of Western power. His voice will definitely be missed. From a moment of somber reflection, we turn to a story that is just pure celebration. You have to see these numbers. For International Tiger Day, India has an incredible success story to share. Back in 2006, our tiger population was at a terrifying low of just 1,411. Today, it's at 3,682. This isn't just a comeback, it is a massive triumph for conservation. It's the result of years and years of dedicated work, from strong government policies to tough anti-poaching efforts, and, maybe most importantly, working with the local communities that live right alongside these amazing animals. India is now home to more than 70% of the entire world's wild tiger population. That's something to be really proud of. 170. Just as a number, it doesn't mean much. But what if I told you that number represents hours? 170 consecutive hours. Behind this number is a story of human will, of artistic passion, and of an endurance that is almost impossible to comprehend. That's right, the story is about dance. For 170 hours straight, a 20-year-old from Mangaluru named Ramona Yvette Pereira performed the classical dance of Bharatanatyam. It's a new world record, and get this, to pull it off, she only took a 15-minute break every 3 hours. This is just on another level. It's more than just an athletic feat or an artistic one. It's a breathtaking display of devotion, discipline, and the sheer power of human passion. Absolutely stunning. Okay, let's widen our lens now and look at the global diplomatic front. In our interconnected world, what happens thousands of miles away can have a real impact right here. So let's break down some of the key moves on the international chessboard. And we start with just 4 very carefully chosen words from the head of the United Nations. Speaking about a two-state solution, Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that Palestinian statehood is a right, not a reward. Now, the wording here is everything. Calling it a right means it's inherent, not something that has to be earned or given as a prize in negotiations. This statement is a very deliberate and powerful reaffirmation of the UN's long-held position, and it adds a lot of diplomatic momentum to the global push for statehood. And finally, a very significant language shift from a major European country. The government of France has made a statement officially classifying violence by Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank as terrorism. Now, in the very precise world of diplomacy, words are weapons, and the word terrorism is one of the heaviest. For a country like France to use it is a very strong, very deliberate signal. It shows they're taking a much tougher stance, and it could cause a ripple effect, maybe influencing how other European nations decide to respond to these acts of violence. And that brings us to our final section for today, the Daily Health Brief. For this part, we set aside the analysis and we just present the facts straight from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It's a simple, clear snapshot of the latest numbers. So here is the COVID-19 data as of this morning. Across the entire country, there are currently 322 active cases. In the last 24 hours, there have sadly been 2 reported deaths. Looking at the states, the biggest jump in active cases was in Gujarat and Rajasthan, both up by 2. And the largest drop was seen in Kerala, where the number of active cases went down by 7. And that wraps up our explainer for today. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From constitutional law and global trade, all the way to celebrating incredible human feats of endurance and conservation. Our whole purpose here is to give you a place for clear, factual understanding, away from all the sensationalism. This is a listener-supported service, so if you find what we do valuable, please think about subscribing at www.OneRead.News. It keeps us independent, and it keeps us ad-free. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify to listen to this explainer every morning at 8 a.m. As we close, here's a thought. Nearly every story today, from a governor's signature to a 170-hour dance, is really about the friction between established rules and the human drive to push beyond them. Where do you see that same dynamic playing out in your own life? Thank you for spending your time with us. Namaskar.